Good evening, everybody. How's it going? Ooh, I'm getting ahead of myself here. Getting ahead of myself. Clicking things I shouldn't click on. Next time, probably should have someone else control that. Just kidding. I can handle it. I can handle it. What's up, everybody? Happy New Year from all of us here at Ritter Real Estate. Hey, we love talking goals. We love talking about chasing our dreams and accomplishing things that matter to you. So, real estate is a very common, important topic to us. Tonight, you're getting goals. Tonight, we are talking about how to crush your goals for a bright new year, right? So, a lot of this is going to go into structure tonight. We're going to go into what kind of goals you should make, why they matter, how to stick to your goals, and maybe a couple surprises in between. So, I'm going to try to keep this call probably around 30 to 45 minutes, but I'm so glad that you've decided to start your evening with us. And if you're in the Midwest, you're probably snowed in, iced in, or it's too cold to go out anyways, or elsewhere. So, welcome, guys. Welcome in to this free live webinar. It is a live webinar. It is January 7th at 6:01. So, starting on time, going to end on time whenever that may be. But I'm glad you guys are all here. And we're going to dive in and go ahead and talk about crushing your goals and how to do so for a bright new year. Welcome. Okay, so what we teach at our company is crafting goals into three main categories. Okay, so I hope you're taking notes. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you're ready to accomplish some amazing goals for this new year. Give me a thumbs up in the chat. See if you guys are alive and kicking tonight. If you're ready to crush your goals for this new year, anybody? There we go. We got one raised hand. Can you guys access the chat? I see some raised hands. I don't know if you guys can access the chat or not. There's a lot of raised hands. I do like to see that. The virtual raised hands, that is incredible. And perhaps not on the chat, but that's okay. Does anybody see the chat? Let me see here. Everyone. Aha. Let me see. Let's try that. Q&A. Getting this working real quick. Let's see here. All right, I don't think you guys can access the chat, but I do see some raised hands. So I'm glad to see you guys are here. I might have just changed it so that you could access it. Let's find out. Okay. Well, if you have questions, maybe hold those until the end. I will go ahead and I can allow people to talk. So if you have questions throughout, that's great. But of course, we'll probably have some time at the end here and see if we can't figure that out. I did change the chat to everyone. So let me know if you see this just in case. You guys see that in the chat? We're trying out a brand new version here. So thank you for the patience. All right. Hey, let's get started. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're ready to crush your goals. So, like I was saying, we structure our goals into three different categories. Okay. This is how I believe you should craft your goals. It is nice for kind of separating them out. And yeah, you're going to feel like they kind of maybe intertwine, right? You might say, well, this is a personal goal, but it's also kind of professional, right? And you might feel that while you're creating your goals, and sometimes if they kind of intermingle, that's not a bad thing. Okay, that's not a bad thing at all. So we like to separate out, like I said, PPFE here is commonly referred to that for personal, professional, and financial goals. Now, I will tell you that a question I get all the time is, what is a good goal, and what should I make for my goal? It's like, outside of this structure here, it's quite frankly really hard for me to determine what a goal should be for you. And that is why this is so important to us at our company, is because we aren't robots, and all of our individual agents have goals that matter to them, right? And that's how it should be. I don't want people that feel like they have to accomplish the same things as me, because they're not me, right? And you don't want to feel like someone has to accomplish the same things as the next person, right? Those are your goals, and they're your goals on purpose. So this would be a great portion to take notes on, okay? And these are the PPF category definitions. Let's start off with personal, right? Your personal goals should be focused on your passion. And if you're like, well, this is great and all, this is helpful, but I have zero idea how to structure this, hang with me, okay? We're going to get to some structure stuff in the next slide. But think about your passions. Think about something that you care about. Maybe it's something health-wise that you want to accomplish for 2025, and something that you want to actually stick with and make that a goal, right? And maybe it's short term, maybe it's long term. We'll touch on that as well. But travel, is there somewhere you want to go this brand new year, right? Is there something that you want to specifically do? Is there something that you care about? Because let me tell you, if you have something that you care about, that matters. Okay. And that matters to you. It's personal to you. That's why this is a personal goal. I will tell you that whenever I have my PPF goal meetings with my agents, the hardest one for them to come up with is personal goals. Why? I would like to think we, are unselfish people thinking about others. And that's why it's difficult. And maybe we're so focused on our career, or so focused of getting out of debt, or so focused on making an income that we desire, that sometimes we skip out on the personal stuff, right? So do not skip this first part of this call, this live webinar. I want you to remember that you matter personally, right? The things that you want to accomplish matter. Okay. So maybe it's sports activities that you enjoy. Maybe, like I said, travel, hobbies, your health. I have several new health related ones, or maybe it's focusing on your relationships, right? Um, I have several different health ones that I started this year. And I'll tell you exactly why they're perfect goals on this next slide, the way I accomplished them. But one is to run 1,000 miles this year. One is to follow a certain diet for 80% of the year. And another is to do 560 push-ups a day for 80% of the year. Okay, well, what about professional goals? Okay, so how do you come up with professional goals? This should be focused on accomplishment. This is about learning new skills, right? Maybe there's something that that you have a desire to learn more about. You just need to stick with it. That would be an amazing professional goal. Sometimes when we want to learn stuff new, we shy away, or we just forget about it, or we convince ourselves that we can't do it, or we just tell ourselves we're too busy. We never ever consider doing it, right? How do you accomplish it? Well, you have to make this a goal, right? You have to make it a goal that you're willing to stick to. Awards and recognition. I think awards and recognitions are amazing things. And maybe that's not like your cup of tea, but I think we all like recognition to some degree, right? Maybe there's a certain accomplishment or award or some kind of recognition in your career that you can put down as a goal that you want to accomplish this year or the next year, right? Maybe it's taking on new responsibility, or getting a certain degree, or a certain accomplishment within your line of work, right? In ours, it might be becoming a licensed broker, right? We have agents, we have brokers in Missouri. It could be something like that, or we have these letters you can get behind your name in our industry, right? And different designations. So there's lots of ways that you can expand your professionalism, and through this artwork of goals. So focus on accomplishment. Financial, focus on your motivations, right? I think every single person, I don't care if you feel like you're starting from scratch, or you feel like you've been doing this a while, you have to have a net worth goal. Okay, because that's what makes this feel like a game. I don't know about you guys. Money's important. It's not everything, right? It is honestly one of those things that the more you realize, it is pretty daggum important. It hangs right up there with oxygen as far as level of importance, Zig Ziglar says, right? So everyone needs a net worth goal, because that's what makes it feel like a game. You get to see yourself start from here and go to there. That's why if you feel like you're pretty close to zero, that's okay. You should want to see this grow, right? So you have to figure out your net worth. right? If you need a spreadsheet for this, if you need an Excel to fill this stuff in, you can email me. I'll get you a free copy, a blank copy that you can fill in and find out what your net worth is. It's just weighing your assets against your liabilities, right? And we all need a target for that. Every single year, of every single day that I write my goals down, I've written my goals down over 1,500 days, and every single day, one of them is a net worth goal, a net worth target, right? That's what our goals are. They are targets. They're things we are shooting for. It's not a dream, right? A dream is or a goal. I'm sorry, a dream is just a goal without any kind of destination, any kind of end date. You're just lofty. It's out there in the wind somewhere, right? Passive income. It's a great way to get out of the rat race, as we say, right? Having passive income, this idea that eventually money comes to you without you having to work. That's called freedom. That's what we're all after. I don't care why you're on this call. We're after freedom. So maybe accomplishing a way to achieve some passive income is one of your goals. Maybe it's getting out of debt. Maybe it's paying off loans. Maybe it's opening yourself up for future opportunities. These are all amazing goals. And as you see on the bottom, these goals have to be for things that matter the most. Why? Newsflash, a little teaser for later. You won't continue doing any of this if it's not things that matter the most to you, right? You have to create goals that matter. There has to be some kind of driving force behind it, or you can get all rah, motivated, and then it falls off a cliff, right? Here's the thing. I hope to inspire you tonight on this call to even create some goals, maybe to rework your goals, maybe to accomplish some new goals this year. That's, me hopefully providing some inspiration. It's one of our core values at Ritter Real Estate. But I can't provide you motivation. Motivation comes from you. It has to start and end with you. Okay? So let's go ahead and go on to the structure side. Okay? We're going to spend a lot of time, not only because of the content on the slide, because some additional notes I have to share with you regarding structure, because of how important this is regarding our goals, right? So this is a SMART method for our PPF goals, personal, professional, and financial goals. This is how you structure your goal. This isn't something that I created, that we created. You could Google the SMART method. It's very common. It's a great way to structure your goals. It obviously stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely goals. Okay, let's take a goal and use that as example, right? I know you have eyeballs. You can read this screen. But let's take one of my goals that I just told you I created for this year. Okay, one of my goals was to complete a certain diet, which is the carnivore diet, 80% of all days in 2025. Okay, so I would write this out in the past tense. It's another little nugget there. So I have completed the carnivore diet 80% of all days in 2025. So let's break that goal down. Is it specific? Yes, it's a certain diet that I want to achieve. It's a specific goal. I'm saying that I would like to do it in this given time frame for this year, right? I am saying this diet, and I know what defines that diet. I can go look it up. I can see what I've written down for what is allowed under that diet. And it is very, very specific, right? It is a set things that I can eat or not eat. It's measurable because I added a percentage to it. You don't always have to add a percentage to your goal. There's some that are obviously measured by if you hit a certain, let's say, volume target for your transactions, or if you hit a certain number of sales that you want to do in the year. All that is also measurable, right? So that's what makes it measurable. So the carnivore diet, 80% of all days in 2025, right? It's pretty measurable. Now, is this attainable? If I was brand new to this diet, if I was brand new to a workout plan, if I was a brand new real estate agent, insurance broker, whatever it happened to be, and I just put a crazy lofty target out there. I love lofty goals. Don't get me wrong. You got to stretch yourself. Yes, I'll get to that. However, if I never tried it before, it's probably not a very good goal to say I'm going to do it 80% of 365 days, that I was only going to miss 73 days of the entire year for something I'd never done before. Okay, it doesn't make much sense. But this is super attainable for me because I've done this for 2.5 months, right? I've done this on and off for a couple of years. So now this is a way for me to stretch myself to hopefully improve where I was at. Okay. I had a really large apartment complex purchase. That was a goal of mine for a long time. I didn't jump out of the gate and just know nothing about real estate before making that goal. I'd accomplished certain checkpoints along the way. I'd racked up the wins is another way we say that, right? You got to rack up the wins, okay, in order to make some of your larger goals attainable. So yes, you can have some incremental goals along the way. It is okay to knock those out, right? Relevant. Why is this important? Going back to what I just said on the previous screen. This one is personal to you. I love the carnivore diet. I love how it makes me feel. I love the results that I see. And to me, it is very personal because I see the end result, right? I see what I'm going to accomplish by working so hard. It's personal to me, right? It's super relevant. And I know that not only will I feel better, but if I feel better, then my employees will probably feel better. And if my employees feel better, my company will probably do better. It's this like ripple effect from you creating your goals, right? And is it time based? Absolutely. Like I said, I always end every single one of my goals with the date it needs to be accomplished by. Usually, a short term goal is going to mean 1 year. Okay. Now, can you have goals that are shorter than the year? Absolutely. If you're willing to pay attention to them on a day-to-day basis. Okay. My recommendation is start with some 1 year goals. Start with what you're going to do in 2025. And like I said, kind of repeated here, I do recommend that you write these in the past tense. Now, I could write a book and use the entire rest of our time only talking about why you should write your goals in the past tense. I'll just simply say that writing your goals in the past tense does something for you mentally upstairs that changes things, right? It's thinking about things in a whole new light. It's understanding things in a whole new purpose. It is making your brain ask the right questions, right? If I have completed, probably don't advertise that. If you have a goal that turns into a vision statement and then you want to put it on a billboard, probably don't put it in the past tense. People are going to think you're crazy and weird and think you've already done it. Okay. This is for you and your goals. Whenever I accomplished 30 million in 1 year in real estate, I wrote that goal down. The very first year I wrote that goal down and said, I want to accomplish 30 million in volume in 1 year. That had never been done before in this area. Okay. It still hasn't been done by a solo agent. Okay. And that goal sounded so ridiculous. Now, again, you got to go back to the attainable. Yes, I had done 15, 20. I think I had done 25 million in sales before. So I wasn't, striking out at nothing. Okay. I'd proven that I'd done that before, but I decided to stretch my goal. But I will tell you, I felt silly writing that goal down. I felt like it was unrealistic. I felt like I couldn't accomplish it, but I kept writing it down. Right. And then eventually writing it down the past tense, you start to believe in yourself a little bit more. And then you start asking yourself, here's the important part. If I was going to get there, how would it be possible? Now, putting action behind your goal is one of the most important things that you can do. You have to have some action steps to follow what's going to get you there. You have to do the math, right? If it's a financial goal and you want to make $1 million, awesome. I'll be the first person cheering you on. But if I ask you questions and say, how are you going to make $1 million? And you have not done the math to see how many average amount of sales, if you're in the sales profession, get you there, you will never, ever, ever get there because you don't understand what it takes to make $1 million. The only two questions you need to ask yourself if you want to make that much money is there that much money out there? Yes, $1 million is out there. And has someone done it before in your line of work? If it's yes and yes, now you just need to do the numbers. Now you just need to do the math to see what it's going to take to accomplish your goal. Make sense? So write them in the past tense. You will start to believe a little bit more. You will start to ask better questions. Okay. You got to know the difference also between a goal and an affirmation. Okay. If you follow the SMART structure, that's why I started with this on this slide. When thinking of structure and how to craft that perfect goal, if you follow the SMART structure and ask yourself, is my goal specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, timely? You'll be fine. Okay. But what I see a lot of is, I want to read more. I want to do more. And I want a six-pack abs. I guess that was a little better. It's pretty specific. But you know what I'm saying, right? I see a lot of goals and it's like, well, what is read more? right? I want to look better. I want to feel better. I want to have a better mindset. It's like, hey, that's awesome, but that's more so an affirmation, right? Like write those down. I used to write down, if you want to call them affirmations, I don't really care what you call them. I just called them sentences, statements. I was an English teacher, okay, pre real estate, and I just had some separate statements that I wrote down every single day. Maybe they were quotes, maybe they were phrases, maybe they were affirmations, things that I just liked. I used to write these down, the same ones every day beside my goals. And by the way, I do write my goals down the same every single day. Now they can change, and I'll get to that, but I think the repetitiveness is part of this perfect formula. Okay. But an affirmation is not a goal. Let's just make that ultra clear. If you just write down every single day, I want to feel better, and you don't know where you're going, what target you're chasing, and how you're going to get there, you will stop writing that goal within 2 weeks, right? Because it's like the first day that you wake up and feel crappy, you're going to be like, that goal was stupid. I don't feel great at all. But if you follow the SMART method, I promise it's going to help you craft a goal that you can actually target and chase, right? 1, 3, and 5 year goals is what I recommend you start with. Your short term is what we'll call short term 1 year goals. You got to have some 1 year goals. That's kind of an easy way to think about it, is having those like, hey, in 2025, I'm going to do this, right? We all kind of hear that. Maybe it's those like New Year's resolutions and stuff, right? And it's like, all right, I'm going to do that in this year. So let's say that you didn't have a sales target that you wanted to hit for 2025. And you're like, no, I just want to shoot for the moon because, yeah, that's what we should do. That's great and all. But maybe, this attainable target, right? Maybe you can set something that you feel like is accomplishable. It doesn't say you can't stretch yourself. And maybe you're adding a percentage growth to what you did last year. That's awesome. But maybe these 3 and 5, maybe 10 year goals is where you can truly stretch your mind and think bigger. Guys, if I'm talking too realistic for you, believe me, you guys know how maybe you don't know me, but I'm a pretty ambitious person. Okay. And I do like shooting for the moon. I do like pushing people to do so. So that goes along with the idea of having some loftiness to your goals, but maybe a perfect place for that, especially if you're brand new to maybe whatever you're doing. A perfect place for that is a 3 year goal. You can have 2 year goals, 4 year goals. I don't really care. Make whatever you want. Or a 5 year goal. Because here's the problem. Here's the problem. Listen to me, okay? Most people underestimate what they can do, or most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but underestimate what they can do in 10. You hear me? Most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year, but underestimate what they can do in 10. So sometimes you just got to model, mimic, and master this thing out. Sometimes you got to keep the hustle going, keep the grind going. And this can't be a 1 year commitment. This has to be a 5, 10 year commitment, right? And that's where you're truly going to see some growth. I promise you. My real estate career did not take off day one. Okay. I show my trajectory off all the time during events. And really, it didn't get cooking until you're probably 3, 4, 5 is really when it took off. Okay. I've had my license 11 years now. And if I would have quit after a year and a half of selling a house, none of this would be here today that we've all been creating. Right. So create some 1, 3, and 5 year goals, and don't be afraid to chase something, but also be realistic in the idea that it's a process. It doesn't mean you have to check every single box year one. You can chase those lofty goals by year 3. And I guarantee you, listen to me, I guarantee you, if you have that kind of mentality, doesn't mean you're soft, doesn't mean you're laying back. I guarantee you, if you do this the right way, the bright way, and you keep pushing, you will accomplish well more than you ever imagined year 3 than the goal you thought you should have pushed in year 1. So don't give up. Okay. So year 3 and 5 is really where we stretch. 3 and 5 is really where we stretch. We think bigger. You have to think bigger because you got to give yourself something exciting to look forward to. Okay. Just because you have a goal and like, let's say it was a slam dunk, you're like, oh shoot, Jared said make it attainable, but I didn't think I was going to do that. All right. Well, we always can make new targets, and you have to make new targets. There's too many stories about people who accomplished something, and maybe it was at the height of their career, the height of their industry, and after they accomplished it, became world champion, whatever it was, they fell flat on their face in depression because there was nothing else left for them. You have to have new targets. you have to have new goals. Okay. And there's nothing wrong with accomplishing a goal and making a new one, guys. Nothing at all. But you have to have that next target in mind. Or maybe if you made the 3-year goal, you can start to pull that closer. That should be your ultimate vision, is to pull that goal closer. And if you're like, well, I shot a little bit too high. I said I wanted to make 100 grand in June. You're 30,000 in. You're like, oh man, I'm never going to make 100. Okay, my goal is just 75 now. No, no, no. It doesn't work the opposite way. Not at all. We don't do that. We don't do that at all. Okay. We chase our targets. We only increase our effort. We never, ever, ever lower the expectation. Okay. That's how goals work. Let's see here. If I did not mention this yet, I don't think I did. You absolutely positively need your own goal notebook. I only write in a moleskin notebook. I pay the price. I don't know why. I just like them. Okay, so that's what I write my goals in every single day. Freaking ladybugs. I hate them. You guys got this going on still? Yeah, I just freaking karate chopped one. I'm not even kidding. That was gone. Got one down. It's live. It is live. That's how you know. But anyways, goal notebook. You need one. Okay. I love writing consistently in my goal notebook. I know there's some others on tonight. I see you guys that write specifically in a notebook and have some repetitiveness to it, kind of creating a streak, right? I see Corey, and I know he's approaching 1,000 days, I believe. And like I said, I've been writing mine over 1,500 days. That progress, that traction, that daily consistency that does so much for you. I have right now I'm creating some new ones. I probably have almost 20 goals, right? And I could spout off every single one of them because I've been writing them for so long. And that is how much you want to get to know your goals, right? And people know me as someone who, is big into goals and shares goals and talks goals. It's because I live and eat it. If you want this thing to become precious to you, if these things that you write down truly matter, well, then you will create them in a fashion that you want to seek out and live and breathe in every single day. Okay. Let's see here. You aren't tied to these goals, right? But you should keep writing them. You never know. Maybe you'll change your mind. Maybe a personal goal you made lacks importance and you remove it. That's okay as well. But like I said, sometimes writing it down, that consistency, if it really does matter to you, will help. Never lower your targets. Raise your expectations. Don't lower them. Okay. Now, let's switch up for a second. Let's talk about the success criteria. Okay. Because this is ultra important. You're going to deal with all these different categories at different times. Okay. And you'll see how these pop up here. But once you start sharing some goals, once you start having some goals, once people start seeing you live a little different, and once people start seeing you act a different way and leave the house a little bit earlier to head to the gym, and people start seeing you do this and do that and try that crazy diet and want to make some money for yourself, want to provide for you and your family, things are going to change, right? But what does it start with? Because you do all those things for what reason? To chase success. Okay. And I lied. This isn't going to be 30 minutes. This is probably going to be an hour. I said 30 to 45, plan 7. Plan another 30. Okay. What does it start with? Since it is success criteria, that means that's what we're chasing. Well, if we're chasing success, it all starts with you getting attention. Okay. I don't care what industry you're in, what you do. It all starts with you getting the right amount of attention, whether it's, teaching in front of a classroom or whether it's you making a sale. Name any of one of your favorite companies that ever did anything without getting attention first. You can't. We wouldn't know them if they weren't masters of creating attention, of getting your attention, of hanging on to your attention. Okay. And that's what it takes, whether it's, I used to do live eating challenges with D. Some of you remember that on Facebook, and I would throw up on camera. It was a great time. Not really. That was fun and funny. And yes, I like food and eating a lot of it, But that was also a way to get attention because guess what? I'd be sitting there wearing a blazer like this, okay? And people knew me for that. And I'd have over 100 people laughing their tails off, laughing their tails off on Facebook Live, okay? And it all starts getting attention. So the second, once you get attention, what happens? If you're loud and you start creating a little attention and people start to notice you and you're like, hey, look at me. Eventually someone's gonna be like, hey, be quiet. Now, sometimes the next reaction, okay, is this criticism? Is this instant like, I want to stand for this? And people are like, no. Once you're vocal, now people are against you. Once you try to do something, now you have a critic. Once you try something, people tell you how you did it wrong. Once you say, I have this goal, people are like, no, I had that goal before and it doesn't work that way. You can't listen to people that gave up on their goals. You can't listen to people who have never been in those shoes, who have never filled the shoes, right? If I were you, I'd want to learn from somebody who has been there before, who has shown that's possible, and not listen to your uncle who gave up, 10 years ago. So anytime you create attention, there will be criticism. There quite frankly always is. If you aren't getting criticized, you're not getting enough attention, which means you won't get the success you want for your personal, professional, and financial goals. And if you get enough criticism, guess what that turns into? You guessed it. Haters, right? Guys, if you want to become the president of the United States, you got to get half the country to hate you, right? You're going to have some haters. You're going to have people that truly don't like the way you're doing because we've always done it this way. And that's the most dangerous phrase in business. Or they don't like that it's a little different, right? It's a little out there. That quite frankly, if you're in step 3, you're having success. And other people don't like success, right? Maybe they've seen that you've done something that they were so subconsciously unaware of or subconsciously afraid to try, and now they're trying to take it out on you. You're gonna have to get some hate, guys. I hate to tell you that. If you want to accomplish good things, you want to accomplish big things, you're gonna have some people that don't like you. And I'm a people pleaser. The first time I have somebody that didn't like me, I didn't understand it. I got over that pretty darn quick. Here's the thing. It's your movie. You're the main character. Okay. Some of you have heard me talk about this. And, at the end of the movie, when they roll the credits, all right, you start picking out your favorite actors and, oh, yeah, so-and-so who played so-and-so. Well, guess what? This is your movie at the top. You see your name big and bold, main character, right? And you see the important people around you. They also have names in your movie. Your parents, your friends, your family. What happens if you keep it on going down the credits? You start seeing names on the movies that are like, they're not even real names. It's like waitress number 1, bus driver number 2, stuff like that, right? You've seen that in the credits. Well, here's the thing. We always give so much attention to the haters when really they're just bus driver number 1, waitress number 2 in your movie. They do not matter. They don't pay your bills. These are your personal, professional, and financial goals. And that's what you should be concerned of, okay? Because it's funny enough, you keep going, and this is what it turns back to. It turns back to admiration, okay? The same people who criticize you, I promise you, will be the people who said, hey, I believed in you all along. Hey, that was actually a really good idea. It worked out. And you see this start to turn back around. This is the last portion of success. And guess what? Once you get to a certain level, it's probably time to get some more attention again. And it's going to be the law of the trade-off, right? And if you want to get this, you got to sacrifice that. And guess what? The law of trade-off also says that the sacrifice gets harder every single step. You want to grow to a new level? It's going to be a bigger and bigger sacrifice. That is just the ultimate truth, right? If you want to grow to certain heights, if you want to accomplish certain massive personal, professional, and financial goals, there will be the law of trade-offs. Okay, I've had to trade several things off in order to advance my career or help my people or whatever that happens to be, to grow to a heightened level, to make bigger and bigger deals. There's laws of trade-offs. It could be trading off as simple as, your time in the weekends in order to accomplish something and get where you want to go. And taking that time off and putting it towards something important. So that's just important because that's what goes along with your goals. As you start to accomplish things, or even if you I promise you, if you put a goal on Facebook, you'll have supportive people, you'll have quiet people watching from the sidelines, and then you'll get some criticism. This is how it works. So I want you to pay attention that whenever you start to have the criticism, when you start to get the haters, that you stick with it, right? That this is something that you can continue to do. All right. We'll go ahead and keep it going. So I don't know if you know this. Probably didn't expect to see a slide like this, huh? On a webinar supposed to be positive. Did I do the thumbs up? Thank you, Zoom. It only does it whenever I don't mean to. How about the balloons? Can we get some balloons? No? All right. Whatever. This is live. Zoom has funny things like that. Anyways, Quitter's Day. I don't know if you know what this is, but did you know that national, what they call Quitter's Day, is the second Friday, which would be this Friday here in just 3 days, is the National Quitter's Day of every new year. What that means, and yes, this is more about New Year's resolutions, right? Is that most people, statistically, most people that create a new goal or a new resolution quit by the second Friday. So that this year is January 10th. And one of my main kind of purposes behind this is hopefully inspire you to a point where you're not going to be one of those quitters, right? Where you're not only going to lean into January, but you're going to lean into the entire month, right? What are some of those things we can go back to and point to as far as how to make this possible? Well, to avoid Quitter's Day, you need to write your goals down every single day. If you do not, and I truly believe it's every day, we have a shirt that says every day is every day. Every day means your birthday. Every day means the weekends. Every day means holidays. Every day means cold days. It doesn't matter. If you're willing to write your goals down, and something you do one time, you should be willing to do every time. Okay. So if you're going to create these goals, if they're truly important, then you should be willing to write them down every single day without fail. Without fail. As in, it's a non-negotiable. There are many non-negotiables in my life. Okay. You can keep track of them in your phone. You can get a notebook. You can find like a notes app, a list app, whatever you would like. But if you're going to do something, like I said, I've been writing my goals down 1,500 days in a row. I've been reading my Bible 1,500 days in a row. If you're willing to make something to that nature and do it that long, it's got to be non-negotiable. Like my head doesn't hit the pillow if I know something hadn't been done, right? And that is that kind of grit, that kind of mentality, that if you're willing to stick with something like that, there's literally nothing you can't do because you've proven it to yourself, right? Like I said earlier, you have to measure the results from your actions. Okay. Maybe there's a certain goal you want to accomplish. The actions you put behind that, you got to measure those actions just as much as the goal itself. Are the actions you're taking helping you get there? The cool thing is once you do this kind of repetitively, you start to build up some data and you start to find out, is this really helping or is this not? Is this helping towards my career or is it not? Am I getting new clients out of this or am I not? Should I put my marketing dollars elsewhere or should I not? You start to analyze every single thing. You start to treat yourself like a business, right? And I mean that for your personal goals too. You taking care of your health is your first wealth. And that is exactly how you're going to move not only yourself forward, but your business forward, your personal, professional, financial goals forward. Okay. So, hey, remember why you started in the first place. Okay. Okay. I see you guys on the Q&A now. I apologize. It didn't show. Thank you. Thank you guys for saying you can comment here. Chat's not on, but the Q&A is here. Okay. So this is a perfect time if you would like to type in the Q&A. I do see those now without the shared screen. But remember, most importantly, guys, you have to create goals that matter to you. Okay. That is the number one way that you're going to continue working these goals. So, hey, really appreciate you guys being in attendance tonight. Like I said, would love to take some questions before we wrap up here. If anybody has any questions or comments, feedback, anything that was your favorite, anything you liked about the goal structure, or maybe even something that you do. Got a lot of awesome attendees in the house. Really appreciate you guys being here. Hope you enjoyed this gold webinar. Any other questions in the Q&A? And while, just in case you think of any, so where's a good place to start, right? You know, one of my favorite things to do, even outside of my goals, is I like to take a notebook like this, get you a notebook and just go flip to a blank page, right? And maybe this is where you should start tonight. Just get you a legal pad out, get you a notebook out, and just take a blank notebook. I usually would say go outside. I like to be outside, nature. Perhaps not tonight. But find a little quiet spot in your house and just brainstorm. Just literally put on that paper anything. It doesn't have to follow structure at that point, right? And just put something on there that you think is important, or it came to your mind for a reason, right? If something is sparked inside your mind that you want to accomplish or that's important to you, it obviously is there for a reason. So you have to pay attention to that. And sometimes I'll jot a little note on a piece of paper or my phone. I like the notes section of my phone. Or if I really get time to schedule it in, I'll take a legal pad, sit down, and just see what comes to mind. And sometimes you guys can create some amazing goals that come out of that. So if you want to know where to start and you're like, hey, I'm brand new to this whole goal thing, that's awesome. Start with a brain dump. Start with just a brain dump on a legal pad and see what you can come up with, okay? And then don't forget, it's just as easy as separating these out in personal, professional, and financial goals. Try to get 3 to 5 per section. Okay. And maybe, like I said, start with those 1-year goals. If you can get 3 goals for 1, 3, and 5-year goals for each personal, professional, and financial setting, oh my gosh, you've hit a home run. Okay. But don't forget that your goals can change. Okay. Your goals can change. They can maneuver a little bit. I'm not saying drop expectations, but if something doesn't matter to you anymore, guys, I've had a lot of goals. I was like, I woke up for the 3rd day in a row and I really don't care about that goal anymore. Get it out. Get it gone. Your attention is far too important, right? Your attention span is limited. You guys are hit up all day long. Okay. People are competing for the same clients you are, and they're not even the same industry. If I got 15 grand to spend, I got a lot of things that are important to me. I'm going to put that $15,000 in several different buckets, perhaps. So you're not just competing against your own industry, you're competing against the freaking world. Okay. So it's got to matter to you, and you got to keep the main thing the main thing. Okay. How are you going to get some attention is the next thing you need to answer. Like I said, you're competing against everybody. You're competing against me. You're competing against car salesmen. You're competing against insurance. You're competing against various industries, the big business and small business. You're competing against everybody. How are you going to get enough attention that people do not forget who you are and how you do it? All right. And that goes for people outside of sales too. Okay. And you need to make yourself so freaking valuable that where you're at, that you're A, impossible to replace, and B, they want to reward you for that. Makes a lot of sense to me. Well, look at that. We are going to end right on time. I said 30 to 45 minutes. I was long-winded in the middle there, but we had a lot of good notes. So, guys, I really hope that this webinar was super helpful to you. We had lots of great attendees throughout this call, and I hope you're taking notes. I would love to, of course, thank you, Brandon. I would love to see you guys even share some of your goals on Facebook. Maybe tag myself, or you can tag the webinar, or hashtag crushing goals or bright new year, whatever you want. Okay. But lastly, oh gosh, don't leave. Don't leave. Don't leave. I'm gonna get in trouble. I didn't follow. We got one more slide. Hey, if you are curious more about this real estate thing, you guys know we talk a lot about real estate. Our next Bright Beginning Summit, where a lot of our agents came from, their very first meeting was at a Bright Beginning Summit. If you're like, well, hey, I am looking for something new and perhaps my own bright beginning, come join us. It's again free. We do a lot of free events. It's at our office, downtown Cape, February 20th, 6 o'clock. You can come learn about, more real estate related things, add some value to you in general. And then, yes, you can learn about what it takes to get your real estate license. So, whether this is for you or someone else or a friend, feel free to let them know. Feel free to let them know about our free event and be on the lookout for future webinars that Ritter Real Estate puts on. We would love to have you there in attendance. So, hey, let's crush some goals. Let's make it a very bright new year. Appreciate you guys logging in. Appreciate you being here. We'll see you next time.